Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Uh, I have just heard about the flag blunder uh, by the Ministry of Education, and I would like to make my comment on this issue. Now, previously we have heard of the blunder about the flag in terms of it's being portrayed in a wrong manner, meaning there have been a mistake by the Sinchu and later on by two other what we would call Chinese related companies. Now, in a previous video, I have already mentioned how I feel about this thing, that I do not feel that it is necessary for us to make a huge issue out of a mistake, which is a mistake, and I don't feel that there is any intention of insult, simply because in the past we can see that many of these entities doesn't have any purpose of insulting other races, unlike some of the politicians and some of the political parties that we know. They are always insulting, and they have a whole history of insult. But for people or entities that do not have any history, I tend to think that it is more of a mistake. Of course, some investigation needs to be done, but we can go and assume that to the best of our knowledge, that this has nothing to do with insulting the flag. And so I have called upon the idea of forgiveness and also having to move on from this issue. However, many sectors, mostly Malays, have criticized me for being unpatriotic, have criticized me for the idea of, uh, I have mentioned that I am being, I have, or being ashamed of being a Malaysian, simply because some of the editors or the two editors had to be arrested. And I think this is something which we cannot uh, live on the idea that if you make a simple, honest mistake, then you have to pay with a pound of flesh. That is what I have mentioned before. And many people, particularly of my own race, found that to be wrong and also unpatriotic. And I have been even suggested that I should relinquish my citizenship to that point. Now, for me, I think and still hold on to the idea that any honest mistake, we should move on. And this is something which I have already mentioned many times. I am in disagreement with the how KK Mat issue was taken up in terms of it being harassed and also Molotov cocktails being thrown, and we have one popular politician making a big issue for his own political profile. Now, here is the question that we need to ask. With this blunder of the Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia, will high officials or high ranking officials be arrested, and will they be also out of a job, like what we see in the Sinchu daily situation? Now, are they going to be treated the same way, or will this be considered by some groups to be a Malay and a Chinese issue? Because Sinchu and those other entities were seen to be Chinese, and therefore the hammer came down very hard. But here we see that this is not a Malay entity, because ministries are not supposed to be Malay or another race, but we see the majority of the teachers, majority of the Ministry of Education officials, they are Malay. And so will the hammer come down hard as well on them, or it will just be a tap on the wrist? Now, I am not one to, again, call for the pound of flesh. And I have always called for the idea of forgiveness and understanding, and then moving on from the subject. But as I said, this now calls on the situation of, will there be the same fairness being treated to others, as well as now to ministry officials of perhaps one particular race? So I hope this issue will not become a race issue. And I think, again, that we should admit our human frailty. We should admit that all of us make mistakes, all of us. It doesn't matter whether you are Muslims or Christians or Hindus or you are of the race of Malays, Chinese, Indian, Kadazan, and Daya, and whatever. We are all humans, and this is what joins us in a common ancestry. Whether we like it or not, we are all connected together. Our blood could be the same. If you have this type of blood, you could even transfer it to others, even though you are of different race and different faith. So I hope this gives a lesson that we are not free from mistakes. Now, this is unlike those who purposefully make mistakes in order to gain political mileage. That one we should not forgive. But here it's an honest mistake. For me, the Sinchu Delhi was an honest mistake, as well as the Ministry of Education. Again, another honest mistake. And we should live and grow beyond this. But the question remains still on the minds of many others. Will the same treatment that befell the editors be made to those high ranking officers, perhaps even the Ketua Setiausaha Kementerian, as well as the Ketua Pengarah who was in charge of the SPM report? I hope this would serve as a lesson that it's better to forgive than to demand the pound of flesh. With that, thank you very much.